Welcome to another episode of the Relief Podcast, episode 22. My guest today, Adrian O'Hare, and soon his son. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to hear from you, amazing to see you. I really appreciate your time. I'm glad that we're able to make the time to get together and have a good conversation.
Yes. Let me see if we can get. Oh, there we go. Okay. We got a special guest today. He's logging in.
What's up?
You tell us about this superhero coming on the call before his video launch.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about my son. So he actually turns 18 today. Really proud of him for that.
Happy birthday.
He's been a guiding light for me. He's taught me a lot. As parents, we don't get a manual on how to raise kids, and I'm done my best to try and guide him in different ways and help him along the way with his journey and with how he's grown up as a man, and helped him in his endeavors as a business owner for himself, with all that I've learned along the way, the past 10 plus years being in business myself. Do my best to guide him, help him, teach him, let him learn his lessons as well. If he needs to fall and fail in certain aspects, that's okay for him to learn those lessons also, but not let him get too deep into any hole or anything like that, because I want to be able to be a good father and obviously let him learn his lessons, but be there to support and back him up, and pick him up if he needs that. But he's been well on his own with his journey.
Absolutely, and I mean that speaks to your leadership. Just to get things started the right way. He still has to make the movements and walk in the right path. But a lot of people lack that father figure, in their lives. So when you started, right, when Ethan was a baby, did you knew that he would become anything like the man that you see today?
I would say no. It was not expected at all. I'm almost envious at certain points when I look back and I look at him and the person he is and the life that he leads for himself. And I wish to myself that I could have had those experiences and what he's grown up to be, or what he's been privy to. I'm being completely honest and transparent. Like I'm almost envious that the certain aspects of his life that I see and witness, and I wish I had that for myself. And I wish I was at his age in certain parts of his life. I would have loved to have that maturity level that he has. It just defining moments that he's been through, when I'm able to see as a father figure, as a father, to step back and look to see what he's grown into and decisions that he's made on his own. It's really commendable. And I know it coming from him being his father, it's like you always want the best for your kids. But when you see your kids making the best decisions for themselves and making wise decisions, without having to be told how to make those decisions, it makes me very proud of him. And I tell people, it's really him. He has some guidance. He has some, someone trailing away in certain directions. We want to steer things in a certain way. But it really is up to him to take the lead and make the decisions on his own, because there's certain people that decide to be almost rebellious in certain aspects, and I don't get that from Ethan.
And there he is. Happy birthday, young man.
Hey, what's up? Thank you.
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Welcome, welcome. Happy 18th birthday. But the
thank you.
truth is you were a man before you turned 18. The person I met at the Arete event in Nashville was a full man. Like your poise, your confidence, the way you stood, you shake hands, look eyes, and we're standing for an hour. I was in awe. It was a full day of learning, right? And then you're in business, right?
Yeah,
Well, tell us
yeah.
about what kind of business you're in lately, and what was your first business, and at what age?
So, my first ever business was reselling shoes. I started when I was 14, and then right now I still resell shoes, but I also sell vintage clothing. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I do right now.
So you have a second business now.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. What got you into vintage clothing?
So pretty much like while I was selling shoes, I would buy like vintage clothing from other people, and then one day I was just like, man, why don't I just sell this myself? I'm paying like 30, $40 for a shirt when I can be paying like way less, and then get clothes for myself and also like make a business off of it. So I can do shoes as well as clothing.
Because you're really good at spotting trends.
Yeah.
So did you learn to become an entrepreneur from your father, from his
Yeah,
example?
I think I've always kind of grown up around like um I guess like sales. Like I saw my grandpa run a business, I saw my uncle run a business, I saw my dad grow a business. Um my mother does she does retail, so she sells as well. And like, I guess I just kind of grew up around that and realized like, oh, I want to create something of my own. And then I created my shoe page.
What's your shoe page called? Let's promote it here.
It's called 210 Sneakerheads, so it's 210 SNKRHDZ, and it'll be like a diamond logo. It's pretty cool.
So can somebody go to you and request a certain type of sneaker that's hard to find?
Yeah, I mean, I've had like certain people come to me and then be like, "Oh, can you find this for me?" And I like, so I locate it and then I ask for like a deposit before I find it for them. And then once the deposit's in, I look for it and then we agree on the price. And then yeah, I rarely have that happen. Usually it's just like I collect inventory and then I post it out and people are interested and they just buy it from me.
So you know what sells.
Yeah, pretty much. I've gone through like thousands of shoes in the past 4 years, and like I've realized, oh, this is doing good right now. This is not. Even with like vintage as well. There's like billions of shirts, and off the top of my head, like I know what I can sell something for, and I know like what someone will want it for, and
Can I ask you
whether
a
like
little?
it's
So when you buy something, you're buying to sell it for a higher price.
yes,
You're not trying to say maybe the price will go up on this product. If it's not going to sell for a profit, you don't buy it.
yeah, unless um, I have had like holding investments, but recently it's like changed. Other than that, I try and make like around 30% profit on like what I invest in. So unless it's not going to bring me money, I really won't buy it.
Wow. So Dad, I mean, what do you make of your son's just business acuity?
So it really boils down to having the eye for it. And we have lots of conversations of where the business is going, where it's trending. Um, he'll ask me certain aspects of his business. I remember the first time he was purchasing a shoe. he called me and he said, I'm about to buy I think it was like a $750 shoe. And I was apprehensive because at that point the business hadn't grown to where it was. And he asked me, what I thought or what I was thinking. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. You're making a large investment into one shoe. But he made the right decision at that point, to multiply. It multiplied the value. There was a multiple of the value of the shoe, and he knew what was a good price to pay for it and what he can get for the shoe. And I was very, worried, like that's a lot for a pair of shoes. But so we have these conversations a lot, almost every night, about where the business is going, where it's trending, what he sees. Because I don't have an eye for it, but he wants feedback on the business aspects of it. Like, do you think this is a good idea? We had conversations before when the market for shoes was slowing down a little bit, and I said, that's a good. He had brought up the vintage clothing, and I said that's a good idea because trends are changing. There's not going to be that expendable money for everybody, so maybe try and liquidate and try and gain assets. Things that are going to always stay high, keep those. And so he looks at the market trends, and he looks at what is valuable at a certain point, and if he's able to offload certain things when the market's trending a different way, he's able to catch it very quickly. So seeing that and seeing his business savvy and being able to help him and you know invest his time, invest his knowledge. That's one thing I'll give him. He's since he started, didn't ask for a penny. It's been all of his own accord. It's been all of his own pocket, and making wise decisions with his money. Has there been um, times where it wasn't the best decision? Yeah, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn the game. And he's been there from point A to point Z and continuing to grow, and looking at different avenues of um, where to obtain business. And so those are conversations that we have, and it makes me proud. It makes me excited. Um, it just seeing him go and hunt for himself and be able to bring home and eat for himself. It just makes me super happy.
And it's the strongest skill set we can have as men, is to provide
Mm,
and protect. And so, the benefits of having money are many, right?
mm.
Not just to have your own castle, your own home, your own successful business, but then to create a culture for others, right? I mean, let's speak for a minute on your businesses. Share with the audience your entrepreneur journey, and and where you are now in that stage, in those stages.
So one of the aspects of the business that we have that I enjoy the most is seeing the development of young adults. When I see the light bulb almost turn on, when I see my crew take on leadership opportunities, that brings me the biggest smile and warms my heart the most, is being able to see people develop into what I see for them. What I see a brighter a I see the skills that they have, and they just need a little bit of refining to be able to share that with everybody. So when I help put people in the position of leadership, that brings me the ultimate joy. The sales and the growth and all that's good, but when I see people develop into something bigger than they were when they first stepped into the business, that brings me the most joy. Seeing the development, the skills, the leadership, the being able to transfer their skills to other people and multiply, that brings me the most joy. And I know that's gonna turn into sales down the line, because though the knowledge base that some of the crew members are able to develop, even though we're just selling smoothies, we have food and flatbreads and whatnot, but the skills that are able to be transferred from one to another, it just multiplies. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 2 × 2 = 4. You're getting that added benefit of someone being able to transfer their skills. So me being able to develop my leadership abilities over the past few years, when working with young adults and being able to, redefine myself in those aspects of the way things should be led has really helped me a lot. And seeing that in others, it just brings me the ultimate joy.
Yeah, you're raising leaders to serve, right? So if working in your food establishment is a part-time or career opportunity, it's a stepping stone to something where they're going to be able to communicate with people,
Mm.
right? Because you're customer facing business. You can still order on an app, but there still has to be some kind of customer facing experience. And and those are the businesses that last, because a lot of times you see a place where the food's good, but if the service isn't good, the place closes.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know, and you've been an entrepreneur from the beginning, I imagine, right? How many years have you been out on your own as an entrepreneur?
So with the business aspects and running and operating my own business, it's been about 10 plus years. Previous to that, I did work in, um, I don't want to say the corporate environment, but I did work for a corporation. Um, but I always had something to almost lean on. I don't want to say it was like a side hustle because I treated it like a job. And that's why I told my son when he first started, I was like, if you treat it like a job, if you treat it like it's your livelihood, it's going to go a lot further than just something that you do on the side to get a little bit extra cash. And it's going to explode. It'll explode if you treat it like it's supposed to be treated. And I had that. I mean, I can't. I mean, I want to say since high school, since I started working for myself, I always found different ways to accumulate more money. I'd find different avenues where I can accumulate more money, and I just think that was instilled in me from a young age by my parents because they had their jobs and they had um, their work ethic and they had what they were doing to provide for us, but they always did that little extra. So whether it was um, going to the flea markets to sell clothing or different avenues in that aspect, they always look to find a way to provide a little bit extra. That was something that my dad always did for us. And then when my mom left the corporate side of what she was doing previously, she had to figure it out. She had to figure out what she wanted to do. And she went into her own business. And when I saw her, I thought to myself, when I saw her building a business on her own in the counseling space, and I thought, man, she almost makes her own schedule all the time. She's able to generate income when she wants. I need to go down that route. Like, it seems like I don't want to say it seemed easier, but being able to have the flexibility of being able to create your life around what you do. I saw a bigger picture. So she definitely set the table for us as well. So the drive and work ethic that my father was able to show me and what my mother was able to show me in regards to how to set up your life around your work and your business, it really set the table for us. And I just want to be able to pass that on to, obviously the next generation, and take those learning lessons from my parents, from myself, from what I've learned, and be able to um, show Ethan, show my son, like, I really really believe that if you want to provide for yourself endless opportunities, it's doing it for yourself and finding a way to sales. It's all sales, marketing, developing those skills, and you have endless opportunity. There's endless customers in those fields, and if you're able to show yourself to them, show your product to them, you're definitely going to gain customers.
Well, that's how you stay in business is sales. It's communicating with people, relating, delivering value, and selling them what they need, not what you need. And on a different tangent, so I'm wearing some vintage clothing as we speak. This happens to be a eBay purchase of a Boss
Oh,
brand
nice.
suit. Yeah, what do you think it cost?
Like what you
That's a
paid
good
or like,
question. So it has like that 130 like fabric that's a little thinner, right? And
Yeah.
the seller was asking 150. What do you think
Mm.
I paid?
Like 85.
80.
Oh, really?
I negotiated. But because some like,
Nice.
yeah, well, you know what it is? It's a perfect fit. I don't need to edit it. I don't need to revise it, right? And it fits me. So I can see why people buy vintage clothing and you pair it with some like a new piece, like a shirt. And wait, hold on. Now your dad's coming back on the show.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, so now we have you back. Welcome back.
Got it.
So I was saying earlier that the suit matters, right? Like how people present themselves, dress, and show up to events. Like what is selling lately in the world of vintage clothing? What are people asking for?
So like my demographic is mainly like high school kids, and which I have like multiple demographics. So what I've learned is like anything sellable, but for me it's like, let's say like sports shirts, like World Series, like Bulls championship shirts, or any NASCAR, some band shirts. But then like I also have like shirts that range from like $200 or like $300, with like more rarity in them, which I have another demographic that'll like purchase those things. But the biggest like selling thing is mainly my high school demographic of like anything from like 5 to 40.
So 5 to 40 on the price point that they're purchasing it for.
Yeah.
So how do you stay on top of all these trends and who wants what and like because it sounds like it's a lot to keep up with.
I think like the biggest thing is definitely like social media, and then also like it's a lot bigger right now. I think it's like right now it's not at its peak, but it's definitely climaxing. Because I know like 2, 3, 4 years ago, like I was wearing around kind of the same clothes that I do wear now, but now I see like a lot more kids getting into it. Um, so yeah, it's pretty interesting because there's like so many things going on in the world. Um, but definitely like the internet helps out a lot. Like there's so many different trends on different things.
Wow. Well, again, if you have the finger on the pulse of like, so it seems like you've established some credibility and authority in the shoe space, and now you go into the vintage clothes space. Are there any other businesses that you think maybe by next year you might want to leap into?
Yeah, so one thing that I see like doing really well right now are clothing brands, but it's like specific clothing brands. And I've always wanted to create like a clothing brand of my own. I just have always been so like invested into my shoes, where I'm like I want to like accomplish and like finish one thing before I can jump to the next thing. So I don't have to have like be running around in my brain like constantly thinking like, oh, I need to create this, and then oh, I need a post for vintage, oh, I need a post for shoes, and then find inventory. Um, but the one thing that I really like about clothing is like I like making my own clothing is that I don't have to go source it. Like realistically, all I have to do is create it, sketch it out. I mean, source the fabric obviously, but fabric is like available. It's not like I can order like swatch patches online and see like, oh, I want this shirt to be like this, and it's just more of creativity that I have to like come up with. It's so like the only limit is like my mind, but everything else is like and everything else is it's like it's at my hands or at my disposal.
Wow. I mean, so you, first of all, I have to give you tremendous credit that you're many, many leaps ahead of your peers, right? So just continue keeping up at that pace and you'll never fall behind. I want to give some time for Ethan, for you to ask your dad a business question, and for you, Adrian, to ask your son a business question. If that, make the most of our time here. So please proceed.
Well, I don't I don't even know what to ask. I
Ask him
guess like
anything. Ask.
in all of like your career of business, like what was your best accomplishment and biggest mistake?
Up to this point, I always want to look into the growth mindset. So I feel I haven't hit the biggest accomplishment just yet, but I would say the biggest leap we've ever taken was leaving the business behind that we had in El Paso, and uh, going out and venturing into moving to a brand new city. So taking the family and not knowing exactly what was going to happen or exactly how it was going to turn out, and just putting everything behind us to move to a new city and start from scratch. We didn't know it. We knew a handful of people, and that was it. We didn't have the relationships. We didn't have the establishment. We didn't have the authority. We really started just completely from scratch. So I would say having the backing of my family and my wife, and you know, my wife telling me, your mom telling me, like, I know no matter what, you're going to make it work. So there's nothing to be scared of. So that would probably be the biggest accomplishment for myself, um, just because it was a big leap, and we were able to, 5 years later, 6 years later, still be in business through all the thick and thin that we've had to go through in the last few years. Uh, biggest mistake, biggest mistake. Hmm, that's a very good question. I don't know about biggest mistake, but biggest learning lesson was in a previous business um, that I had. There was a time where we did a lot of online sales, and the credit card company couldn't handle the capacity we were doing. That, not that they couldn't handle it, but they viewed us as a small business. So we were doing. I think it was like. Um, 40 or 50,000 in credit card sales, and they put a hold on the sales. So I didn't have access to those funds. So that was a big learning lesson. Just ahead of time, making sure you have your um, I's dotted, T's crossed, to make sure that they're able to. It just looked like a big spike in sales because I pushed a lot towards when I saw that online sales were doing well, I pushed all my chips in towards getting more online sales because I saw that it was doing good. And it ended up kind of backfiring because those funds were on hold for, I think, 3 months. And being a small business, $40 to $50,000 is a lot of money. And so just a good learning lesson. And that really helped out along the way. So you just understand the capacities that um, credit card companies and online companies. I saw their end of it, to where you're doing 5 to 10,000 a month in online sales to that giant amount. It's like, what's going on here? But we really needed that money, and so having it tied up for a few months was kind of hard.
That's unfortunate because it's like you're being punished for succeeding.
Yeah, and I think we were
Right.
just in a place where we only had a certain capacity. I think it's probably just maybe they're thinking we're going to do 5, 10, 15, no more than 20,000 in sales online, since it was a local business. But seeing that big spike in sales um, really put up red flags for them.
Definitely. And then, so adding another note, ask Ethan to log back in because we want to have him back on and have you ask a question. That was actually a really tremendous question. I think better than I could have asked. So, like like I said, he has so many gifts in him, and like I said, just as a person, forget as an 18-year-old, like I would love to just check in every 5 or 10 years, be like, how you doing? Where are you up to? What's your new business? And like I read little things like books that I recommend to kids and parents of young kids. Is we're gonna let them in right now.
Hey, sorry, my headphones died.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Ethan. So, um, so that was just I was just mentioning to your father that was a tremendous question, and in fact, probably better than I could have asked. So he was just sharing how mistake wise, like you know, was not really a mistake, but more lesson of a credit card spike in sales that you weren't, quite prepared for, and neither was the credit card company. And then what was the biggest accomplishment again?
Yeah, I
So
would
we
say
can catch
just
up, Ethan.
taking the leap of moving the family to San Antonio after deciding to mm, move away from a business that I previously had with business partners, and um, just deciding to turn off that aspect of business for myself and go into something completely different, move into a new city, we changed our whole lives around to almost chase a dream.
Wow, that's great. Now it's your turn. All right, Adrian,
Um,
fire away.
for yourself, how would you define success of your business?
Um, for myself, how would I define success of my business? I'm not. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I guess like success to me would be like reaching my ultimate goal, and like I mean, I know like businesses are like created with money, but I've changed like my thought process on like what a business is to myself, and it's not just about money. Um, and like I guess success would be like creating satisfaction for someone else and like having an impact on someone else rather than just like getting a product and selling it to a person. Um, I know before, like maybe like 2 years ago, like I really just cared about like, oh, I just made $400. Oh, I just made $100. Oh, I made $60, and like now, um, I've just changed my, I guess my like aspect of thinking of like I want to create something to like build a experience for a person. Um, and I think that's like my success, even if I don't like make $1 billion or something like that. But if I can create like an impact and experience for someone, just like, oh wow, like that's amazing. Like, and definitely like being a part of a like faithful community. Like my faith has created a very I don't know how to explain it. Just like a different mindset and a different change to provide like for someone and for people, bringing like a product. So I think that's like success for my business.
That must be a proud dad moment just there. Wow, that's tremendous. And you know thinking first in faith, right? And how does faith drive you, Adrian?
Well, for me, just keeps me centered, keeps me moving forward, keeps me with a purpose. So I learned that with the love that I'm given, it's more than, I can love my wife, I can love my son, I can love my family, I can love my brother and my sister, my mom and my dad. And knowing that I have that given to me, I have a responsibility to do that for others. And so it really drives me and gives me purpose, knowing that I've been created for more, and I have to do that for others. And it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me on the right path, on the righteous path, just because knowing that I have people around me that I feel rely on me, I need to stay on the straight and narrow, and I need to stay faithful.
Amen. I mean, the Ten Commandments are there. The prophets shared, why we need to follow a certain way, and that life is easier when we live in truth, because truth vibrates at the highest level. And both of you live your truth and work your truth, and success comes from that because you're congruent inside and out, both of you. So I'm really inspired by the work you do, the lives you lead, and the inspiration you have for others. So I mean, each of you, what kind of inspiration would you want to, first Adrian, what would you like to tell other fathers out there? And Ethan, then after your father answers, Ethan, I'd like you to kind of talk to your peers who are at that same stage of life, and maybe they're lost. How do they get found? I want to go to you first, Ethan.
Um, could you like, I guess, go deeper into your question on like,
Sure,
I'm
sure.
like a
So
little,
right now, yeah, I understand. So right now, you're just turned 18, right? It's a
let's see.
beautiful rite of passage for a lot of people, but you to you, age is just a number on the clock because you became a man years ago, right? And the way you live and the example you set for others, whether it be your peers or people who are older, like me. Like I said, you've made a lasting impression on me, and like I said that, and then the respect that I already had for your father just multiplied the moment I met you. Um, so, what would you like to tell kids your age, right? Whether they had good fathers, decent fathers, or no fathers, right? How to be, how to find their purpose in life, how to find their direction, and maybe drop some of the bad habits that they're kind of accumulating right now.
Yeah, so I see a lot of like my peers, and I just like I'm like, man, bro, what are you guys doing? I don't know. Um, and it's just like like I guess some advice I would give like to be um, and obviously like I'm not perfect. I don't like I may be like further ahead in the game, but like it's possible for anyone to be ahead of me or all close to me or like any part of the race. You know what I mean? And it's just like I guess the big thing is where you surround yourself and like what you feed your mind. And it's not only like I guess I guess it's like your friends and your like what you look at, what you think about, the things you do. It like creates. I mean, it creates you, it creates your personality, and I guess not only like for a business aspect uh, to reach like a better place than where you're at, but it's more of like um, I guess it's like a personal thing. I don't know how to explain it. Sorry, I'm like a little like my brain's a little everywhere right now.
No, no,
Um,
you're even when you're thinking out loud, you're articulating better than people double your age. So I mean, and you're tremendously humble while you're doing it. So that this humble alpha strength, like I said, there's books and guides and teachers about that. So you're living it. You don't have to read about it. And if you read about it, it's going to confirm and validate and strengthen what you're already doing. So
yeah,
it says a lot because there are people who are going to slowly throw their lives away and it won't show until they're 40, until they're 50. And maybe they
yeah,
don't, maybe they'll make it to 60. But you want to live a long life I imagine you want to be a strong dad like your father is as well one day.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, it cut off
you
real
have to
quick.
adopt good values, and then okay, I was just saying that one day you want to be a good father and husband and leader like your dad, right?
Yeah.
And follow in his footsteps, but do it your way.
Yeah.
Um, so, Adrian, share a message to husbands, fathers, other business leaders and entrepreneurs to kind of help them, get their ducks in a row and strengthen up so that they can also be good fathers and leaders.
So this question is really tough for me because a lot of times I don't feel adequate. A lot of times I feel that I can do a lot better. A lot of times I feel like I could be a better father. I could be a better husband. I need to do more and be more for them. So asking me to give advice to other men to be a good father when a lot of times I think I'm just going along for the ride. I don't know exactly what I've done to be blessed by this young man. I look at him and like I said, I'm almost envious. Like, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do? Sometimes I feel in my past I was, a filthy man, a bad man, a no good like drag out person and I look at the life that I'm surrounded with and I tell myself like, man, I don't, God, you blessed me and I don't deserve this. And what do I need to do to be better for them? And I think that is one thing that really helps me along the way is striving to be a better man, striving to be a better husband. I don't really, I don't concern myself too much about the appearance of what other people think of me as a father. My ultimate goal is to make sure that my kids think I'm a good dad. So what do I do to gain that love and respect and humility from them? Because I tell myself, it's not my job for my kids to love me, but it is my job for me to love them. They don't have to love me. They don't have to like me. They don't have to enjoy me. It's a choice that they've made to to enjoy aspects of me. But I definitely have to love them. I have to show them love and I have to be good to them. And I'm not, like Ethan brought up, being perfect. I'm far from perfect. I have a lot of downfalls, but I just tell myself that when especially with Ethan, he brought to me many, many, many life lessons. So any one of his firsts was my first as well. So his first step, his first words, his first time he hit a baseball was when I was able to see those things and know for the first time. So I was learning along the way, and I probably messed up a lot. And any good that's come from any good that can be seen in me is ultimately lessons I learned through him. What I'm able to carry on to my other children is ultimately a lesson that I learned by being his dad first, because there's no manual, there's no handbook. Every person is completely different. And the lessons that I was able to learn on how to be a better man, a better husband, a better father, especially, most of it comes from lessons I learned just being his dad, just striving to be the best that I can be for him. And my ultimate goal is I tell myself, I want to be my kid's superhero. I don't want them, we want to, kids look up to Batman, Superman, but I want to, one day when I go to rest, where my kids can say, I was their superhero. So that's a high standard of myself to have. So what do I have to do to ensure that I'm at that level? I'm on that Mount Rushmore of Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, dad.
Wow. Well, you're definitely in a league of your own, and like that kind of alliance is I think it it's what built this country, right? It's good values, it's good work, and and turning to faith. So I want to commend you both. Adrian, if you would, how do people find you or your businesses online?
Best way is just either any social media at Adrian underscore O'Hare, ADRIAN_OHARE. You can find me on all the socials. Best way to connect and speak a little more.
And Ethan, how do people find you, your shoe line or your clothing line?
So my shoe line would be 210 Secrets, so at 210 SNKRHTZ, and then the Vintage Blossom. So it's underscore V or Vintage Blossom underscore, and yeah.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you both. And I was going to give a book recommendation, but I think you guys got to give me advice. I was gonna give this humble book recommendation to other little kids out there, but you're definitely not a little kid. How to turn $100 into $1 million, and it looks like you're already able to kind of create a cash flow vehicle. So keep on turning, keep on believing, and like I said, keep loving on each other because it inspires me and inspires so many others. Thanks again for being on the Relief Podcast.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for your
thank
time.
you.